Hey there, I'm Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is A Handwoven Experience, episode 19. This is the last video in our 6-part series talking all about weaving patterns. I hope you've been following along. And if you have, you saw that we kicked things off with plain weave, the most basic, simple kind of weave there is. Over, under, over, under. Then we talked about some twill. Twill has kind of a distinctive diagonal or an angled element to it. And twill is important because that's what your blue jeans are made of. All denim is made with a twill. Next, we talked about something called rep weave or ripsmata. And you'll recognize this because it has a very ridged texture to it. Placemats, table runners, those are some common items that are made using rep weave. Then we talked about some overshot. Think a historical bedspread. That's what overshot is going to be used for. Typically 2 colors, it's all about the pattern. I like to say that overshot is the weaving pattern for folks that love weaving patterns. It's true. Last week we talked about double weave, and it's pretty aptly named. Double weave is when you weave 2 layers of fabric at the same time. And that gives you the option to weave fabric that is twice as wide as your loom, or you can weave a tube or a pocket or all kinds of options. That one's a little tricky to wrap your head around, but once you do, it's so much fun. So that brings us to this week when we were talking about all things tapestry. Now, tapestry, you think of tapestry when you're imagining a medieval wall hanging. You know, you've got the knight like on top of the unicorn charging into battle. That's a tapestry. They don't have to be wall hangings, by the way, but that's always the application that I kind of think of. Tapestry is distinctive because it is all about the weft yarns. What happens is that the warp yarns, which are the ones under tension, those are just there for background. They're just there for structure. You take your weft yarns, which usually you would associate with a shuttle, and you hand place them into your piece to create an image or some words or a logo or anything. The sky is the limit because you are placing each yarn one at a time into the fabric. Let me give you an example here. First of all, as I was searching for examples for you, I can safely say that I've done approximately 2, maybe 2.5 tapestries in my whole life. They're a whole another beast, so I didn't have a lot of options to show you, but this is one of the first ones that I did. And what you can see, let me show you here. These are the warp yarns. But notice you can't see them here, and you're not supposed to, because this is all about the weft. What happens is I took each of these yarns and I laid them individually into the fabric. You use something called a tapestry bobbin, which has kind of a pointed end on one side, and then the other one has a little place for you to wind some yarn around. But each of these yarns I hand placed into the fabric. And to kind of keep track of where I was, I used something called a cartoon behind the warp that kind of gave me an idea where things went. It's just an outline of your pattern, basically, is what the cartoon is. The great news about tapestry is that you can do whatever you want. The sky's the limit. There aren't the same kind of restrictions that you might have if you're making fabric that has to hold up in a handbag or in a shawl. It doesn't have to. It's all decorative. The tricky part is, it takes a long time. So if you have never tried some tapestry, you should totally give it a go. You can use a traditional loom for it, or they have tapestry looms, which just look like picture frames. And you string it one direction and then you move all the yarns the other direction. It's so much fun. And it's very different from any other kind of weaving. So it's definitely worth giving it a go. And that, my friends, wraps up our 6 different weaving patterns in this series. I hope you loved them. I hope you found some that give you a little inspiration for what to try next. And to go with that, I've got a great little freebie just for you that outlines each of the 6 weaving patterns and gives you some information about each one. There's a little link below. Just give it a click. Download your copy today. So I hope you got something out of this. If so, give me a like, comment, or share. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to know when the next video is coming out, go ahead and subscribe. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week and happy weaving.